Assalamu alaikum, my dear friends wherever you may be. On this occasion, we will be telling a story about a young man who, like many of us, struggles with something that is all too familiar in today's world, the constant urge to compare himself with others. The title of this story is Why You Can't Stop Comparing Yourself to Others, Islamic Guide. Have you ever wondered why no matter how hard you try, you can't seem to escape that feeling of inadequacy? You look at others, and it feels like they are living a better, more successful life than yours. Is it possible that this constant comparison is robbing you of your peace of mind? If this video has reached your feed, it means that Allah is loving and watching over us, so I hope you will watch until the end. Please give a like, subscribe, and comment, as this will greatly help spread the Islamic message. We invite you to write a salawat to the Prophet Muhammad in the comments, or at least say Ameen. May we always be under the protection of Allah, granted health and sustenance. May every comment of yours become a witness in the afterlife and bring intercession, as well as reward. Ameen ya Rabbal Alamin. In today's world, we live surrounded by screens, constantly scrolling through social media, watching the highlight reels of everyone's life. For some of us, this becomes a silent struggle, one we rarely speak about but that lurks in our hearts. Ali was one of those young men. A college student in London, Ali was always busy. On the outside, he was doing well. His grades were good, he had a group of close friends, and he was starting to think about his future. But no matter how much he achieved, it never seemed to be enough. Every time he opened his social media apps, it felt as if his life was nothing in comparison to the lives of others. He would see his friends post pictures of their vacations, new cars, or even just the simple moments of happiness that seemed to fill their days. In the midst of it all, Ali couldn't help but feel a growing sense of envy. Why don't I have that life? He thought. Why do I always feel like I'm falling behind? This was the struggle Ali couldn't shake off. It was as if his happiness was always just out of reach, and the more he compared himself to others, the more he sank into despair. One night, after another evening of scrolling through social media and feeling miserable, Ali sat by his window, looking out at the city skyline. He felt as though he had everything, yet nothing at all. He couldn't ignore the gnawing feeling in his chest anymore. The next day, while studying in his dorm room, Ali opened his Quran, a habit he had been neglecting lately. He began reading aimlessly until his eyes fell on a verse that caught his attention. It was from Surah Al-Baqarah, Ayah 286. Allah does not burden a soul beyond that it can bear. These words seemed to speak directly to his heart. At that moment, Ali realized something important. His life, his challenges, his successes, all of it was uniquely his. And in that, there was peace. He didn't have to live the life of others. Allah had already planned a path for him that was just right for his abilities, his journey, and his purpose. But the question remained, how could he truly stop comparing himself to others? How could he embrace the life Allah had given him without constantly feeling inferior to those around him? Ali's journey to finding peace had just begun. The next few days after reading the verse from Surah Al-Baqarah, Ali spent a lot of time reflecting on his life. The overwhelming feeling of comparison still lingered, but it was different now. The verse had sparked something within him, a glimmer of hope that perhaps there was more to life than constantly looking at what others had. One afternoon, while having a conversation with his friend Hassan, Ali confided in him about the struggle he had been facing. Hassan, a devout Muslim, listened attentively before responding with a warm smile. You know, Ali, I used to struggle with the same thing. But then I realized something. When we constantly compare ourselves to others, we forget the beauty of what Allah has already given us. We forget to be grateful for the blessings that are right in front of us. Ali was puzzled. But Hassan, how can I stop feeling this way? I can't help but feel like I'm not enough when I see everyone else doing better than me. Hassan paused for a moment before continuing. That's the trick, my friend. You're measuring your success by other people's standards, and that's not the way it works in Islam. You need to understand the concept of qana'ah, contentment with what Allah has provided you. Ali was curious. What is qana'ah exactly? Hassan explained, it's the state of being content with what you have, not yearning for what others have. It's knowing that whatever Allah has given you is enough. It doesn't mean you don't strive for more or better. It just means that you are at peace with where you are right now. Ali thought about this carefully. It was difficult for him to imagine a life where he wasn't chasing after other people's success or achievements. But as he looked at his own life, he realized that he had many things to be thankful for. His family, his education, and the simple moments of joy he experienced every day. These were blessings he had often overlooked in his pursuit of something better. That evening, Ali decided to try something different. He went to his prayer mat, intending to offer a heartfelt prayer. As he began his salah, he recited the words of Surah Al-Fatiha, "Guide us to the straight path." And for the first time in a long while, he didn't feel like he was chasing someone else's path. He was asking Allah to guide him on his own journey, unique and perfect in its own way. As he finished his prayer, Ali felt a sense of calm wash over him. The nagging comparison he had been so used to started to fade. He realized that by turning to Allah and embracing gratitude, he could begin to feel peace in his heart. The answer to his struggles was not to strive harder to be like others, but to be grateful for the life Allah had already given him. The next day, Ali sat down and made a list of things he was grateful for: his family, his health, his friends, and the knowledge he was gaining through his studies. For the first time, he looked at his life not through the lens of what he lacked, but through the lens of what he had. As he reflected on these blessings, Ali realized that comparison was a thief of joy. Every moment spent wishing for someone else's life was a moment he was missing in his own. He didn't need to be anyone else. What he needed was to embrace the beautiful path that Allah had laid out for him, with all its ups and downs. Days passed, and Ali's heart grew lighter with each passing moment. He no longer felt the weight of constant comparison dragging him down. Yet, something inside him told him that his journey wasn't over, that there was more he needed to understand about how to find true contentment. One evening, while sitting in the local mosque after Salah, Ali overheard an older man speaking to a group of young men about the concept of rizq, provision. The man was explaining how every person has a unique portion of sustenance and success that Allah has destined for them, and no one can take what was not meant for them. Ali, who had always thought that success was defined by material wealth and achievements, felt a deep sense of curiosity. He approached the man after the group dispersed. "Excuse me, uncle," Ali said respectfully. "I couldn't help but overhear your discussion about rizq. I've been struggling with comparing myself to others, and I think I need to understand this concept more clearly." The man smiled kindly. "Ah, young one. It's a powerful lesson that Allah has provided us, one that helps protect us from envy and bitterness. Rizq is not just about money or career achievements. It's about the totality of what Allah has destined for you in this life. The love of your family, your health, your friends, your talents, and even the moments of peace in your heart." Ali nodded, but he still wasn't entirely sure what it meant for him. "But how do I know what my rizq is? And how can I stop wanting what others have?" The older man thought for a moment before speaking again. "The key to understanding rizq is knowing that it is Allah's will, and it is always enough. Whatever you have, it is sufficient for you. Allah knows exactly what you need, and He will never let you go without what is truly meant for you. So, when you find yourself comparing, remind yourself that your rizq is already written. It doesn't look the same as someone else's, and that's perfectly fine." Ali sat quietly, taking in the wisdom. He began to understand something he hadn't before. Success wasn't defined by the number of followers on social media or the material things that others flaunted. True success, Ali realized, was in being content with what Allah had already given him and trusting that He would provide for him in ways he couldn't yet see. That night, Ali went home and sat down to reflect. He wrote in his journal, "True success is in accepting Allah's plan for me. I don't need to measure my life by others. I need to trust that I have everything I need right here." As the weeks passed, Ali found himself gradually changing. The constant comparison that had once defined his thoughts began to lose its grip. He focused more on his studies, spent quality time with his family, and engaged in meaningful conversations with his friends. Slowly, he felt the peace of Qana'ah settling in his heart, and his relationship with Allah grew stronger. One afternoon, while sitting in the university courtyard, Ali was chatting with his friend Hassan when he noticed a fellow student, Sarah, sitting alone and scrolling through her phone. She appeared frustrated, her brow furrowed as she looked at the pictures of other students who were traveling, getting accolades, or posting about their perfect lives. Ali couldn't help but feel a sense of compassion for her. He had been in her shoes not too long ago. He walked over to her and sat beside her, offering a smile. "Hey, Sarah, everything okay?" Ali asked, genuinely concerned. She sighed. "I just feel like I'm falling behind. Everyone else seems to have it all together, but I feel like I'm stuck. I keep comparing myself to them, and it's making me feel like I'm not enough." Ali nodded, understanding exactly how she felt. "I've been there too. But I've learned something recently that might help you. There's this concept in Islam called qana'ah, contentment with what Allah has given us. It's about being grateful for what we have and not measuring our lives against others." Sarah looked at him, a bit skeptical. "But how do I do that? It's hard when everyone around me seems to be succeeding." Ali smiled softly. "It's not about what others have. It's about realizing that your success, your happiness, your journey, it's all uniquely yours. Allah has already given you everything you need. Your rizq is written, and it's meant for you. When you stop comparing yourself to others and focus on being grateful for what you have, you'll find peace." Sarah's eyes softened, as if she was beginning to understand. "I never thought of it that way. I guess I've been chasing after the wrong things." Ali nodded. "It's easy to get caught up in that. But true success isn't about what others have. It's about finding contentment in what Allah has given you and trusting His plan for you." Later that day, as Ali sat alone reflecting on his conversation with Sarah, he felt a deep sense of gratitude. He had finally found the peace he had been searching for, not in the lives of others, but in the contentment of his own heart. He had learned that true success came from embracing the blessings Allah had already provided him and trusting in His perfect timing. As he closed his eyes and whispered a prayer, Ali thanked Allah for guiding him to this realization. He knew that the journey was ongoing, but with the strength of qana'ah and trust in Allah, he was finally at peace with who he was.